Want me to pull a chair over? I'll pull the chair.
Do you mind if I spend that on my view or?
I'll switch down.
Oh, yeah.
She could just, we'll just pull it in.
Well, we'll just move this around to the side.
That way I can see everybody.
Okay, that works for me.
Come on in. I know,
It's daunting.
Someone,
no, that's your,
that's me.
And that's your practice. I remember this from last year. It was
Yeah.
quite the change from the other side. Really? Thank you.
Yeah.
A little tighter. This is. Don't you remember this from last year? They're in that room.
Yeah, that's like.
I'm gonna open the window a little more. I don't like.
Just say.
I was trying to listen to the P and Z
Behind.
meeting, couldn't hear a thing because the sound was off.
and I think the way the table,
Thank you.
just not in the right position to be able to see the board from everywhere. I hate that.
Where's that, on the other room?
Yeah.
You could meet in here if you'd rather meet in here. Okay. So once you get there, it's. Okay. Great, thank you, everyone. It is 7:01 and we're going to begin. This is the March 10th meeting of the Board of Finance, our regularly scheduled meeting. And I'd like to call the meeting to order. So on the agenda, we have public comment. Is there anyone who would like to make a public comment? Anyone? Okay. Moving on then, we will move into the next item on our agenda, item number 3, audit presentation. So folks, you guys are up, if you don't mind, walking us through your findings on the audit and
Sure.
how you want to present it, please.
My name is Mike Van Deventer. I'm a partner at Mahoney Sable, ultimately responsible for overseeing the audit work for the town and issuing the reports on behalf of the firm. Joining me is Samantha Thomas. Sam is the senior manager at the firm, and then Julia Waz, who is a senior associate at the firm. They're really responsible for the execution of our audit work. So happy to be here this evening to go over the results of the town's fiscal year 2025 audit. You do have the bound copies of all the reports that were issued in connection with the audit. You should have received those electronically. If not, they are in electronic form. I'm not going to go through those in detail. I have the presentation that I'll run through. It'll cover the scope of work, the reports that were issued, provide some overall financial highlights. I'll make our required communications, and we're certainly happy to answer any questions that you guys may have. All right, so if we can flip slide 2. In terms of the scope of work, no changes from what's been done in prior years. So we did do an audit of the town's financial statements. We performed that audit in accordance with both the auditing standards issued by the AICPA, as well as the Government Accountability Office. In addition, based on the level of federal and state funding that was received by the town, we did perform both federal and state single audits. In addition, we performed agreed upon procedures engagement on the end of school year reports that are required to be filed by the school districts with the state of Connecticut Department of Education. In addition to those test services where we're actually issuing reports, we do provide some non-audit services for the town. So we do assist in the preparation of the financial statements, the schedule of federal awards, the schedule of state financial assistance and related notes. We also assist in converting the town's governmental fund financial statements to the government-wide financial statements. In order for our firm to be able to perform non-audit services and remain independent of the town is required to accept responsibility for them. Again, Leslie, as the finance director, has accepted responsibility for those services, and therefore we remain independent under our auditing standards. In connection with the audit, we do issue a number of reports. In terms of the report on the financial statements, we did issue unmodified clean opinions. So again, we issued an unmodified opinion when we concluded that the financial statements have been fairly presented in all material respects in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States as an fact. If you read our opinion, we do provide reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free from a material misstatement, whether due to error or fraud. Again, we do not provide absolute assurance. We do not test every transaction. We do utilize sampling in our audit methodology. The financial statements do include some estimates, and therefore we can't provide absolute assurance. But again, reasonable assurance is still a very high level of assurance. In addition to the report on the financial statements, we do issue a report on compliance and on internal control over financial reporting. In this report, we don't actually express an opinion on the town's compliance with laws and regulations or on the effectiveness of the town's internal controls. Essentially, during the course of performing the financial statement audit, if we become aware of a material non-compliance with laws and regulations, or a material weakness or significant deficiency in the town's internal controls, we're required to report it in this report. All right, so again, we did not report any material non-compliance of laws and regulations that had a direct and material effect on the financials. And then this year, we did report a material weakness in internal control over financial reporting. Actually, it was a significant deficiency. And that related to the use of multiple accounting systems by the school district to account for their special activities. Again, those two systems aren't fully reconciled, so both systems were not complete. So we did have to perform some additional services to help reconcile those systems. Ultimately, we've communicated this to the school district and the superintendent. They've completed a corrective action plan that has been submitted to the Office of Policy and Management. And again, they're going to work on really bringing everything over to one system.
Is that the plan? They're gonna move over to Munis?
And I think in their corrective action plan, they had to project, not Munis.
No, they
their
are not.
accounting software.
You know, they're using e-finance, but all of their funds will be within the same software system.
Were there any significant funds that were on the other system?
Yeah, they use QuickBooks and eFinance. They kind of have a couple funds that are in both systems. So you have to like understand what activity was in eFinance, what activity was in QuickBooks, then you reconcile them and figure out what needs to go where.
It's been that way for a while.
Yes,
They're going to convert.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, so I think there's a corrective action plan. I'm sure they'll be happy to share it with you. But ultimately, I think they were targeting for July 1st effective date in terms of.
That's going to start the year.
So again, no other findings that we consider to be significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. All right. In connection with the federal single audit, we issue a report on compliance and on internal control at the federal award level. In this report, we do actually express an opinion on the town's compliance with its major federal programs. For fiscal year 2025, the total federal awards expenditure was approximately 1.1 million. The major program was under the Economic Development Initiative, Community Project Funding. We did issue unmodified clean opinions on compliance over that program, and we did not report any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses over compliance. We issue a similar report in connection with the state single audit. For fiscal year 2025, the total state financial assistance that was expended was about 3.2 million. The majority of that is considered to be exempt and not subject to the compliance testing. The portion that was not was about 982,000. Your major programs were the Small Town Economic Assistance Program and the Open Space Watershed Land Acquisition Grant Program. Again, we did issue unmodified clean opinions on compliance over those programs. We did not report any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses over compliance. All right, so overall, from federal and state awards, it was pretty full. Next section goes over your overall financial highlights. The first slide goes over your budgetary highlights for the general fund. Your original and final budgets did include a reduction of the Amity Regional High School expenditure assessment of about 242,000. Again, that reduction related to the use of the prior year budgetary surplus. In addition, the final budget included a planned use of fund balance in the amount of 316,000. Your actual change in fund balance was an increase of 400,000. So that did result in an overall favorable budgetary variance of about $959,000. That was really driven by your expenditures were about $898,000 less than what was budgeted. And again, no budgetary instances of non-compliance were identified as a result of the audit work. Next slide goes over your governmental fund financial highlights. So this includes your general fund on a GAAP basis, as well as all of your special revenue and capital project funds. Your combined ending fund balances totaled approximately 11.6 million. That was an increase of about 299,000 from the prior year. The majority of that is in your general fund, which had an ending fund balance of about 8.2 million. Of the 8.2 million, 7.4 million was considered unassigned, and that represents about 27.2%, or just over 3 months of your fiscal year 2026 budgetary expenditure appropriations. Overall, your capital reserve fund had an ending fund balance of about 1.1 million. And then all of your other funds had an ending fund balance of about 2.2 million. Those amounts are either restricted or committed for specific programs and purposes. And there is a detailed schedule of all of the town's funds that are included in the financial statements. My next slide goes over your government-wide financial highlights. Again, the government-wide financials takes your governmental fund financial statements and converts it to a full accrual basis of accounting. So it does capture all of your capital assets as well as your long-term liabilities. From a user perspective, the focus on the government-wide financial statements is typically on your long-term liabilities. The town is reporting an overall positive unrestricted net position of just over 9 million. That's attributed to lower levels of long-term bonded debt, and then also the status of the pension and OPEB liabilities. In terms of your net pension liabilities, the town does participate in the Connecticut Municipal Employee Retirement System. Reported a net pension liability of about $697,000. That fund is about 73% funded. Again, that is administered by the state of Connecticut. Your volunteer firemen's recruitment and retention plan had a net pension liability of about $276,000. That plan is currently about 50% funded. Again, no significant changes in the overall funded status from the prior years. The town does report another post-employment benefit liability that reflects retiree healthcare benefits for eligible employees, primarily at the Board of Education, which is funded on a pay-as-you-go basis. Your actuarial determined liability for those benefits total about $336,000. Again, the town hasn't established a trust, so you are reporting that liability. The total OPEB liability that's calculated by the actuary, again, no significant changes in that liability. And then the last section just goes over our required communications. Again, we did issue a governance letter that includes those required communications, but I'll just run through them quickly. The first item here talks about our responsibility under our auditing standards. Although we do assist in the preparation of the financial statements, they are the responsibility of the town. Again, it's our responsibility to perform the audit procedures and express our opinions on those financial statements. In terms of the plan, scope, and timing of the audit, again, there were no changes in the overall scope or the timing of the work from what was originally agreed upon. Again, 2 extensions were requested and approved by the Office of Policy and Management. And that was really driven by our capacity and the schedule of the overall audit. In terms of significant audit findings, again, we do review the town's accounting policies and practices. There were no new accounting standards that had a significant effect on the financial statements. In terms of significant estimates and judgments, those consist of estimated useful lives that are assigned to your capital assets, as well as estimated use of accumulated vacation and sick leaves that employees will use in future years, and then discount rates that are utilized to determine your net pension or OPEB liabilities. Again, we do review those estimates. We did deem them to be reasonable and consistent with what other municipalities utilize. I'm happy to report that we had no significant difficulties in dealing with management to complete the audit. Again, everything that we requested was provided to us in a timely manner. We had no uncorrected misstatements. We had no disagreements. We did obtain a management representation letter. Again, there were no unusual representations that we requested from management. We were not aware of any consultations by management with any other independent accountants. And then the only other item is we did issue a letter with recommendations to management regarding matters that we consider to be less severe than significant deficiencies and material weaknesses. So those are really just some best practices recommendations. Again, wasn't going to go through the management letter in detail. Just wanted to inform you that we did issue one. So if that is something that you wanted to look at and discuss with management, then you could do that. But we will follow up on all of those comments with management in connection with the solid. With that, really concludes the overall presentation. But again, happy to answer any questions regarding any of the materials that you may have.
So one of your recommendations was a capital asset policy.
Mhm.
Is that something that, for a small, I've seen what large cities have for a capital asset policy, and it's like a very robust plan. Is there something that you have for a recommendation that a small town like ours would benefit from?
Yeah, I mean, we do a number of municipalities throughout Connecticut, some of similar size to you, so you can certainly look at what they've adopted and provide some recommendations.
You mentioned the general fund balance, 27%. Is that typical? Is
So,
that-
yeah, so it's actually on the higher side for the municipalities that we audit. Again, the GFOA typically recommends that you have at least 2 months, which would be roughly around 17%. So that is on the higher side. The other thing, I think you probably have lower capital reserves. So we do see other municipalities that, although they may have a lower fund balance in the general fund, they may have more reserves that are committed for capital purposes.
Okay.
It's pretty straightforward. It is. Is there any other questions that anyone has?
Yeah, I know it's a lot of material. So certainly if you do have questions that, arise over the next weeks, months, feel free to reach out. We're happy to answer those questions at any point in time.
Okay, thank you. Did you have something with this?
No,
No, it felt like she sucked in
No.
her breath.
no, thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much. You're welcome to stay, but you could of course leave.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Just the extra copies on the center of the table are fine. We'll take care of them later.
Okay.
Oh, you guys can have specs.
Thank you.
Little swag.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Thank you.
So the management letter, is that in any of these documents?
I'm pretty,
You
there
sent
is,
it to us, right?
there's the communication with those charged with governance. That is probably, yes, that is the management letter. And then the internal control related matters with their suggestions. Everything is here. Each item is separately bound.
Even if it's 2 pages.
Yep.
Yes. Very official.
Basically, we did well this year. Yes. Congratulations. Yeah, nice job, Leslie.
Yes, good job.
Like,
Um,
just level set in 20 seconds.
the issues are really with the Board of Ed, not us.
Oh, okay.
It is, and since I have been on the board, the audits have been getting better and better in the
great.
past few years. And attributing to Leslie's work sessions.
And we had this firm last year that did a
We did,
wonderful
right.
job.
Have they, is this their second year?
Their second year,
Yeah.
their second.
It's really good.
And it was
So,
I'm pretty sure it was a 4-year agreement with the option to extend that we had entered into last year when we.
Oh, really? Yeah, I don't even want to say it's the Board of Ed because it's not, it's the way the Bethany Community School is doing that accounting, but you heard him say that they're gonna go to one system and that'll make all the difference.
Yes,
And then I don't think they'll have any issues either. Right?
that plan is partially in place already. Donna has been working very hard at keeping things reconciled. She communicated with me earlier this year that she had two funds that were not balanced, she said, and I will find that before the end of the month. They are staying on top of it and they are working towards moving everything into one so that it is easier. The other item that they didn't mention, but it is standard for most Board of Eds, is they only report half of the financials. Their systems usually only track the expenses, they don't track the revenues. Right, so it makes it a little more. They're used to doing it, but it does make it a little more complicated when they try to reconcile, because it's a one-sided balance sheet,
Mhm.
their expense runs.
Did you talk to them at all about, I don't know what you call it, how we might set up an account where, that's balanced, where we can put money into to add money so that when we go in 5 years to buy the truck, we have the money. I don't know what you call
So
it.
that's what they were referring to,
Fund.
that's
Yeah,
what
the
they
capital
were referring
reserve.
to when they said that other towns have larger capital reserves, they have sinking funds for things
A
like that.
sinking fund, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Okay. Were they suggesting that we have a larger one than we have, or they're just commenting on, well, we don't have a large sinking fund?
What they're commenting at the moment is that our capital fund is not a large sinking fund in proportion to the other towns of ours.
So we offset that by
Having a larger general fund.
in case we need the money.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any further discussion? All right, so we have to we have to vote to accept the audit report findings. Would anyone please make a motion?
I'll move that we
Sally.
accept the audit findings.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Janet, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Let's thank you. All right, so next, item number 4 on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Those are the meeting minutes from our February 10th meeting, and I believe all of us were in attendance. Great, so, can I have a motion from someone?
I'll move.
Thank you, Sally. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Rachel. Any discussion about this?
I didn't see anything.
No, I didn't either.
The one thing I had, it was about 7A2, and it was about the transfers. This one's a question for you, sort of Sally or Leslie. The general fund capital reserve, their fees will need a transfer, and then, Sally, you were saying, let's do all the transfers at one time. I thought you meant like in a future date, right?
Yes,
Like,
that is correct.
Yeah,
I would like that to be clarified, because someone might look at this looking for the transfers all together or something like that.
Because that line, that division is running very close or over budget at the moment, and we know that there will be more. And that's why
Okay.
Sally was recommending that we just wait till the end of the year when we have a clearer idea of how much we need.
So do all the transfers for the legal line at the end of the year.
Correct.
Yeah,
What I'd like
Yeah.
to say.
that makes more sense.
Any other edits? No, okay, so can, all in favor of approving the minutes as amended? Say aye.
I,
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. Now we're gonna move into the finance director's report. I'll let you just take over here then. Thank you.
All right, well, first, for those of you that do not know the two individuals sitting across the table from me, I think it's only fair that my staff introduce themselves to you.
I'm Vinny. Been working here for 2 years now. I think my start date was March 7th, so basically 2 years now, so.
Megan.
Yeah.
welcome.
Sorry, I have this one. Marianne, I just accounts payable. I have been 9 months, almost 9 months. May of
Nice
this.
to meet you.
Welcome to you as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Late.
Yeah, because without their input, nothing would happen in the office, so I would be in over my head.
So thank you for your hard work, guys.
All right,
Is that all for your update?
when I was looking through the reports earlier,
Yeah.
I realized that when I ran the reports, the expense said revenue. Because the expense would not pull showing expense, it would only pull, for some reason or another, the day I was pulling the reports, expense was not working. I could specify expense accounts, but it wouldn't pull in the parameter I needed unless I told it to print it with the revenue headings. Got me. It has since resolved itself, but I didn't realize that until I looked at it right before tonight's meeting. The only department that I am watching closely. The town council, obviously, because the general legal fees are over budget at this time, but we knew that was going to happen. And the fire marshal.
The police is low. Are we expecting a large something to come in? I'm throwing expense.
Okay, with the police, the $80,000, that first line item, that's a June payment.
Yeah, that's right. Never mind.
That's why that department is way underspent right now. That's a June payment.
Wow.
The state bills us once a year, around the 25th of June. And we just received the invoice this week for animal control, so that will be. That next month will reflect the fact that we have paid the town of Woodbridge in full for this fiscal year. That's all I have from an expense standpoint. From a revenue standpoint, the overall, our report reflects slightly different than the tax collector's report, but the tax collector's report from QDS shows that we are over 99% collected for this fiscal year on taxes.
Which is great. Yeah. It's great. I remember seeing an email about that, but
Yes.
I'm having trouble timing it right here.
Is that normal also?
Did we do well in collecting?
Yes,
Yeah.
our percentage is usually 98.5 or higher. Which is why when we set the budget, we assume a 99% collection rate.
Okay.
That's. That's all I've got on the numbers.
Thanks, Susan.
Good. The transfers I would like to, move to when we discuss the budget. And you'll understand when we get to that point. And we are waiting on Tyler to bring in our AP data. They have everything. They are working on bringing it over. We're looking for 4 years of vendor historical spend to come over into the new system. So that we have,
You're talking about the details from the old system.
yep, the details from the old to the new, yep. Yep,
When is that gonna happen?
they have everything right now.
Okay.
So it's a matter, they told us it would probably be about 4 weeks until they came back, until they got it back to us. So they are about 2 weeks in.
Yeah, something like that.
Yes.
So maybe next week will be next month will be the last time it's on here.
I'm hoping,
Okay.
I'm hoping.
They're so nice.
It has not been an enjoyable or an easy time, but it will make the 26 audit, the 25-26 audit extremely easy for the auditors because they have access to it. So they can pull a lot of the reports remotely. They can pull it all on their own. They have auditor access to it. So it's not like they can manipulate. Obviously, they would not, but they have auditor access, so they can get the data on their own. And we are very good at scanning everything in, so it automatically saves an image of the checks that we cut. And we add all the invoices we scan all the invoices in, so when you pull up any vendor, the check and the invoice are right there, and they have access to all of that. As well as all the POs, they're all within the system. That's all I got.
Thank you. Good luck. Okay, next item, item number 6 on the agenda, Board of Education report. Amity.
Yeah, Amity does not, well, they might now, but as of last night, they did not have an approved budget from the Board of Ed. They, the Board of Finance had approved a budget up to 1.53%. The Board of Ed met after us that week, and sent the budget back to administration to try and cut some more. So they were supposed to, they meet right after us. So last night, they were supposed to vote on a budget, and they're running out of time because there's specific dates where they have to have the budget passed by a specific date. So I'll find out whether, what they approved it as. It won't be more than 1.53 unless they override us, but if they override us, it has to come back to us. So we both have to be in agreement before the budget can be finalized. So
Was your vote unanimous?
no, Orange voted against it. They wanted less than 1%.
Okay.
So Orange voted no,
Uh-huh.
and everybody else voted yes.
Okay.
There was a little controversy because Paul Davis, who is chairman of the Board of Ed, decided he was entitled to vote when it was a joint meeting. And I guess there was a lot of pushback about that. Once the minutes were there and people saw the video, they were not happy. But his vote didn't change it because it became, I think it was 4-2. And taking his vote out would have been 3-2. So,
It didn't influence the outcome.
yeah, I don't think it influenced at all. We went over I'm not even sure what it was. They decided they needed a vice chairman of the Board of Finance in case the chairman wasn't there.
Okay.
So I got nominated, and so did the guy from Orange Newso. And so did a man from Woodbridge.
Oh, nice.
So funny, when we voted for the person, I got 2 votes, Newso got 2 votes, and the guy from Woodbridge got 2 votes.
Okay.
Because there's 2 from each town on the finance thing. So then I told them that I did not wish to have the position. I was too new to the board. I didn't, I just wasn't familiar enough with how they did things and everything, and there was no way I wanted to run one of those meetings. They are like
Mhm.
I mean, you know, you
Yeah.
start exactly on time and you end before the end time, no matter what. So I'm like, no, thank you. So then, Donovan from Woodbridge is the vice chair. And, Dr. somebody from Woodbridge is the chair.
Okay.
So,
Woodbridge has that.
Hmm?
Woodbridge.
yes, both Woodbridge people are now the chair and the vice chair.
If I may, did you hear any news about the Amity budget? Do you know? If they
Yes, I
voted?
did.
Did they?
Terry Loomis sent an email out today to the finance directors, advising that they approved a 1.23%.
Okay, so 1.23, we're good.
That's great. Thank you for that update.
I don't think I looked at any of my emails today, so sorry.
I don't know if it would have gone, I don't know if it would all,
Either.
I know she sent it to Tony, John and myself. I don't recall anyone else being
Okay.
on there.
All right, well, that's good. So 1.23 is the,
What's our portion gonna be? It'll be lower.
Our,
Our
Our
portion should be
portion?
lower.
oh, yes,
um,
and our budget goes down. Cause
Yes.
we're at 3.52, I think, in the
Right.
budget.
Amity's at 3.68 in this.
Right, and it's
version.
1.23. 123,
But what does that mean for us though?
No, wait,
Because we
hold
have a
on.
higher enrollment.
no, wait.
right, but
No, wait.
we have to figure out what our percentage is because. And I can find out because I can call Terry tomorrow and find out.
I know what it is. I have our assessment. When I pull up the budget,
Okay.
I'll have that, the exact number for us.
So one of the issues they had is, well, they don't have it, I mean, it's not an issue. Sometimes it's very hard to hear in that room, you have to, you know, and so you miss it like a word. But there was a special ed student that has been placed after the budget was approved. So it could have been in September, you know, and it just wasn't in the budget, but, anyway, it's one student, the tuition alone is $447,000. And that does not include transportation, which could be anywhere from 40 to 90,000. And all the special ed students are budgeted through the age of 23. And it's the year end of their 23rd birthday, so they don't stop at 23 if they're born on, I guess, January 2nd, they go to December 31st. Or maybe it goes fiscal, I'm not really sure, again. One of the reasons I didn't want to be vice chair, there's too many things that you have to learn. Our funds are doing really well though, so that's good, we're above where they expected us to be in all areas.
I felt like that board knows a lot about investment management.
Yes,
So-
yes, because we had somebody come from somewhere to tell us all about it.
Mm.
And, you know, it's a lot. I was gonna say, excuse me, how about you take mine? But, they're doing well and that's a good thing. The 1.23 is a good thing. Because next year it's gonna go up over 5% above that. Because of the bonding and stuff. So. And I'm not sure what our sixth grade enrollment is compared to what we sent last year. Last year, I think we had 4 sections. Jules did not have 4 sections. So last year, I think was 4 sections. So that would be a larger crowd than this year. This year's 3. So we could drop
That would be good.
like 20 kids or so. Maybe, you never know. Or they could all go private. You know,
Okay.
it'd also be good,
Yeah.
but. So, yeah. The special ed is really high, there's a. You
That
know,
particular one, is that a residential?
that is an outplacement,
So does that mean go to a different school district or,
Mhm.
and it's $400,000? How do you?
447. For that one child, and I'm not sure,
Might be like a facility that can care for them.
So
there is
a
one.
residential,
It might be something.
are
like
they?
that.
I mean, I know there's a special ed student that has a full-time nurse. As well as a one-on-one para, and I believe they are out. Out of district now. So. I don't know whether this is one of them or if this is a new one coming in. They said a lot of times it's hard because I didn't understand this. A lot of times the special ed need doesn't come up until like the end of sixth grade, and I'm thinking, what? So I mean, I don't know. So I'm not sure how you go all through school without having a special ed identification or services, and then all of a sudden, before you go to middle school, you do. But I'm not a special ed teacher, so I don't know. So they said they try very hard to identify special ed kids in sixth grade so that they can like budget in this budget for next year. So hopefully there won't be any surprises.
I assumed that it was someone who relocated to the district. That was why I thought they hadn't planned for it.
It might have been, but they said they don't normally get kids moving in that are that, I don't know what word to use, that need that many.
Profoundly.
Yeah, because they have already established, a program and everything, unless the program that they're in, there was something wrong with it, that the parents just said, oh, bag this and we're moving. And we hear,
Yeah.
Amity has a good program, let's go there. And they have 3 towns to choose from. So I really don't know.
It is a cost that has a large impact to our budget for sure.
It does, because it's not fully funded. So when we spend more, we don't get 100% of that overage back, ever. So,
Okay, well, there is a good news that it went down to 1.23, so thank you guys for that information.
so I don't know whether that changed, what that changed.
Well, we'll find out soon. I think Leslie seems to have the news on that. And then for BCS, I hope you guys all received the email that I forwarded from Kay. I know they're meeting, we all know they're meeting tomorrow to vote on the budget. But when I asked her to make cuts where she could identify, she did identify some programs. But as of right now, she's still sending forward her budget as proposed.
One of the things I would like to know is how many kids are in those programs. And what the cost of the program is. So I mean, I know one of the programs is Boost, so how much is that program? And then how many kids are in Boost? And then I know there's the before and after school music program, and again, how much is that program? And how many kids are in that program?
That's a question that we could pass along.
Yeah.
Okay, so more to come on BCS. All right, so now let's move into topic number 7, budget discussions. So do you have an updated budget with the reduced impact of the 1.23?
Yeah.
Annual budget?
I do. It's
It's
not as,
stacked.
it's not as exciting as we all would want it to be.
Oh, okay.
But I do have it.
Well, she's looking at that up. Did anyone identify areas that they wanted to discuss further? Anything that they identified as possible areas they wanted to reduce? We did have the the final benefit number come through. And that was an increase of 15%. We are still waiting for the final benefit numbers from BCS as well. I do know that you had mentioned this, so I feel we should discuss it. An area to share the cost of the insurance across the employees. I know they do that for the teachers, although they are a union workforce within their contract. They do pay for some of their insurance. So, I don't know what the thoughts are here. I can ask you, Carol, what you think would be the reaction from the residents in town. I mean, like, what are our thoughts on that? It's something that Leslie and I have been discussing. Apparently, before I came, there was a detailed list of people paid how much in order to make this somewhat fair and equitable, how much would we need to raise the salary in order to not have them lose money? And the amount that we would have to raise the salary, according to what I was told, would make our FICA so much higher that the town would be losing money. We wouldn't gain from it. But I think if we are gonna do this, we need to talk to the employees. We need to give them again, like the other things we talked about, an extensive lab time. You know, we may say, this is our plan for next year. Be prepared. We want you to know that this is gonna happen, and maybe it'll start with a very small percentage. I don't know, I'll take direction from you, but I think, the other issue is we've been working so diligently on these salaries. People aren't making high salaries, they're not making a lot of money. And so then this is a benefit that no town that I have talked to has, I have to tell you. And having talked to the labor attorney about this as well, he was just shocked. He said, this is a benefit he hasn't seen anywhere anymore. But the question is, how do you do it so it's fair? And how do you do it so it's balanced? And how do you do it so you don't hurt people's income? And how do you do it so you keep your employees? And how do you do it really in a way that's best I could say is balanced across the board?
Yeah.
And I don't know that we have an answer yet, although we've been thinking about it. We're thinking about different options. And I think maybe we even get together with a group with the employees in town to say, this is the situation, let them know what it is. Let them know what the situation is, how much it's costing. The price of insurance to go up 15% at a minimum is exorbitant. It's just exorbitant. I know it went up substantially in the past. I don't know what kind of impact that will make on the employees or not, but I think they have a right to know, and I think they have a right to have input. Anybody is going to say, no, I don't want to pay up more, and I don't want to lose salary, and I understand that and totally agree with that. But I think at some point, somewhere, some year, this is probably going to come to pass. I just don't think it's something we do now and spring it on anybody. I don't think that's appropriate. I think there's ways that we begin discussions for a point in the future.
So just another point of view on this. There are ways to do this that don't come directly out of people's pockets necessarily.
Okay.
So for example, do we have unlimited everything? Unlimited chiropractic, unlimited mental health, unlimited, no copays for anything. And that's the way that Laticrete used to make some adjustments to the costs. So we didn't charge people more. Maybe like, for example, on my Medicare plan, it was $40 copay on specialists. It went to $55 this year. Now, we don't want to do that, but there are things, I think if we talk to the broker about, can we adjust some of the components of the plan that we don't think would affect people that much, but they're reasonable and could reduce our premium, and then address some of the other more direct things later, like copays or deductibles.
Well, the one thing we did last year to lessen the medical insurance increase was we switched carriers. We went from Connecticut to Anthem Blue Cross. We were able to reap discount by doing that. I.e. Connecticut was looking at like a 13 to 15% increase last year. By switching over to Anthem, it was only an 8% increase. But when we switched over to Anthem, we also adjusted the deductible. It used to be 1,500, 3,000. We moved it to 2,000, 4,000.
Okay.
So
So
we,
similar to what you're talking
yeah,
about.
so we
Yeah.
have made those adjustments. We do not have unlimited because I'm pretty
I
sure,
don't know what it.
I'm pretty sure I was capped at 20 physical therapy appointments for the year.
Mhm.
20 physical therapy appointments is not a lot when you have a hip replacement. But there
Well,
are
there are some.
some guardrails on it. There are some restrictions on it.
Tax free.
Oh, is it
Whatever it is,
pre-tax?
your money's tax free, but goes into a
The health
medical.
savings.
We do have an HSA account, yes,
Most people use it.
yes,
But we don't contribute to the HSA.
yes, the town does
The town
contribute to the
does.
HSA account.
Wow,
Wow.
Yeah.
maybe I should
look
go
at
work
that.
for the town.
Yeah, really.
That we're paying for potential things that employees aren't incurring generally, right? Putting money in an HSA to be spent on medical that
Correct.
they don't necessarily need,
Plus, we're paying their,
right?
their,
Does that, is that,
Yeah,
does
So
that
that's like
expire
double
at the end of the year?
No,
The HSA is-
HSAs roll over from year to year.
And
yeah,
your money.
it's your money.
It's your money. HSAs are your
and our
money.
money.
And I mean,
Just that money,
there
our
are,
money.
there are individuals that put more money in their HSA than what the town puts in. There are people contributing personally to their HSA accounts.
Why is the
addition to
town
what the town-
contributing?
Many employers do contribute to an HSA
None of
to the
mine have.
employees.
No, I was gonna say, I've never had one.
It's either one or the other.
Yeah,
Your
Yeah,
HSA and that's your insurance or
yeah.
play.
My company did it one year when they forced everyone onto the high deductible plan.
Yeah, that's.
And
that's
so
more
they
typical.
funded the
Yeah.
HSA,
For a year. Well,
but
that's
not,
another
but
strategy.
not like a lot, they gave it like, some money.
That's another strategy if you
But they have
are
an
going
account
to
that they
make
put
changes,
pre-tax
because
dollars
it's basically
In,
Mhm.
it can only
to
be
cover
used for
some
that,
of your
which
high
is-
deductibles,
so
but
they
that
use
does
it
feel
for
like
co-pays
a
Yeah,
place
they got a card.
or
credit card.
prescriptions.
Hold on.
we could look at, because that feels
That's
feels
very
excessive.
robust.
How much do we contribute to the HSA?
80% of the deductible.
So we're.
wow.
We're
Well, I
paying for
have a
everything
deductible
pretty
then.
much, yeah.
Wow. Wow.
That does have to
Yeah,
be looked
yeah,
at.
that- yeah, that's-
It really has to be looked at. That's just,
It's
Yeah, so I think
excessive.
there's something.
It's
yeah,
very
that we
that's a
could
good
do,
word.
right?
It's excessive.
Yeah, good catch on it.
I think the only other thing that, as I was looking at this, that, just where did we land, Carol, for yours? Cause it just, I feel sensitive about having the selectmen line item increase in your first year. Like that, I just feel sensitive to that. I don't know how everybody else feels. I know we talked through it last time. Anything changed since we talked through it last? Cause it looks like we have now proposed as it was 110 and now that's a 70,000 increase from current on the
part-time seasonal.
yeah. Mhm. And I think that's because you were talking about your multiple roles that you weren't totally sure of. We kind of had talked through that, right?
So we
Yeah.
hired one
Yes.
person. Oh, congratulations. Thank you. Starts Monday.
Which position? Are you- if you-
It's called
It's an executive assistant.
executive assistant to the first selectman, because apparently we have someone called an assistant to the first selectman, so we could call it the same thing. So she'll be starting, we're still, right now, I really have some human resources things that I needed more help than I could do on my own by looking things up. And since we don't have a human resources person, needed to contact a labor lawyer at $250 an hour. It's a labor lawyer that he's the lawyer who's doing our union negotiations, and he's phenomenal. I would love to have him help do policies, but I just need to get some basic things done, people brought on board, other letters that needed to go out to different people. But I'd like to not pay $250 an hour and have a human resources person that I could call. I did find someone that I could call. We haven't settled on a price. I don't know if he'll do it for $35 an hour for 5 to 10 hours a week, but that's really what it's budgeted at, is basically $35 an hour. So I don't have that yet. In terms of a grant person, bless you, Rachel. I am incredibly blessed that Rachel has agreed to head up our grant committee. And
Thank you.
oh, it's more than thank you. I'm telling you, she's been phenomenal. Because of Rachel, we already submitted one grant. I mean, do I know if we're gonna get any of these? I have absolutely no idea. But it never would have happened without Rachel and her input and the hours and hours of work she put into it. So publicly, thank you. And she's agreed to do that. I have two other people who have finally agreed to be on the grant committee. So we so far have a grant committee of 3. I'll turn those names over to Rachel soon, and she can have a meeting. In the meantime, we have, I don't really know if this is what you're asking, but we have one grant that met with Rose's office this week. 3 years ago, either 2 or 3 years ago, we applied for something that every year approx was waiting for the bill to be passed. Apparently it got passed this year, and we have 300, don't hold me to this, but somewhere around $300,000 coming in to do Round Hill Road. We weren't gonna widen Round Hill Road. The town said no to that, but they had to cut down part of Round Hill Road. The Round Hill Road is still gonna cost us like 400 and something $1,000. So I'm in the process of dealing with Scrog to see if, number one, we can't move forward without their approval. So whether we have the money or not, we can't move forward without their approval. So I'm hoping for that, number one. And number two, I'm hoping that they'll help fund the rest. So maybe that will get done and that will come off something. I applied, we're on the process of applying for another grant. Hopefully also through Rose's office. Don't know if it's gonna happen. Has to do with things that we want to get done at Veterans Park. But is this really answering your question? I don't know.
So my question, I think it's all good for everybody to hear, but I think my question was more just, we had for that part-time, which I think is also. So you filled the executive one, then there was the assistant to the selectmen that we're holding. We
Mhm.
had discussions, some, right, just about that. But then the other two part-time, so just are there any changes?
I haven't hired anyone for either one of them. I do need I'm gonna say no, because ultimately we're gonna need that.
Yeah, okay. Cause I think that was just one that we were looking at, right?
But she did, for our last discussion, reduce her request from 130 to 110, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So,
So we,
Yeah.
So that's 20,000 that really I could use to get someone definitively, but yes, I understand it's necessary.
And I think, Leslie, the other thing that I had the question on was the town hall IT, right? That number seemed to also have changed a bit from when Nick had come in and chatted with us. Did anybody else see that on the overall, it looked. But there,
I'm
it just
sorry, Rich, I
seems,
don't know what you're talking about. Can you
so
refresh my
the,
memory
the
on that?
line item that's the town hall IT.
Yeah,
When Nick came in during the workshop and did his presentation to us about what all the expenses were for and how much and those things, the number I think changed slightly, right, Leslie? And then there were some shifts of the buckets to be more around licensing,
Right.
yeah,
right?
okay. Mhm. He used his subtabs, I recall.
We seem to be needing more and more IT things.
Well, and I'm a little nervous about that, I guess, because it feels like,
So let me tell you, and this, again, don't hold me to the numbers, but we promised the town, and I promised the town, and all of us want to make all of our meetings open to the public, to have them recorded so that people could listen in, so they could participate. For people who are not here, they could people who are on a committee could participate through the Zoom. And it's really a boon. People have really enjoyed it. They've liked it. They are able to watch the next day if they need to. But what has happened is periodically this owl doesn't work, or the owl in the other room doesn't work for really important big meetings like planning and
Yeah,
zoning.
it didn't work.
And
Couldn't hear anything. You could.
so, what I was just told when we updated it, we did everything we could was, well, these owls were purchased in the year 2000 and we can't update them anymore. And it's going to cost another 3,000. I'm not saying these numbers are accurate. I have it in my
it'll
office
be
if you
an
want it.
increase.
But it's increased.
Another investment
Right,
in
or
the
if we do
infrastructure.
a full AV system in both rooms and rewire, which will be really costly, or we do something else. So I'm looking at these numbers that were given to me and it's not cheap. And I'm thinking that, technology is here to stay. If we really do want to make this open and we do want people to participate and we do want people to have tablets who are out in the field and we do want people to have town phones because of FOI, they shouldn't be using their own phones. It's appropriate. It all costs money. So I submit that perhaps the IT is going to continue to go up.
Okay.
I would agree with that assessment. I mean, it is more expensive than it was this year. But, if we pull out the 15,800 on the bottom line or whatever that is, just make it zero, what does it do? See, it cuts it in half, it cuts the increase in half.
What did you pull it out from? Can see that far away.
It's all other expenses, it's all the other projects that Novus is suggesting we take on and we do to
Yeah, but there's
improve our
only
security.
3. It was 15,000. So there were 3 at about, they were gonna cost around 10,000. There were 3, like 3,000 each, and those seem to be, out of 5 of them, really important. Because they really have to do with security. They were suggesting if you don't do any, do these 3, don't do the other 2, although we're recommending we do them all.
Okay, so I will go back. I'll go back and find out, put the number back in for now, if that number can be reduced any.
And what exactly these projects are, and because I just,
That was like for when you're accessing, more security when you're accessing your account from home, things like that.
so
People,
like a VPN type of.
yeah, something like
They
that.
gave us a full presentation and described exactly, I'm sure that we can get
I think
that
it's
to you
next-
if you'd
okay.
like it.
Yeah,
Because they described exactly what we have, what we need, what we really should have right now. And again, that will probably change again. Is that on here? You have
Yeah,
it?
there we go. It's very hard to read, so
Yeah.
Vinny might have to read it or make it much, much larger.
It wasn't clear to me even when he presented, which is a recurring and which is a one-time fee.
so the cybersecurity training programs, that keeps people from clicking on things
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
phishing.
Yep. And having that in place is part of our cyber insurance policy. So we have to put that back in.
But we might want to look somewhere else for different policies. It was suggested perhaps other than the insurance companies we have. I don't know that that will change a lot. Were these the 5 they recommended?
Mhm.
On the bottom, right? 1, 2, 3,
Yep.
4, 5.
Mhm.
What's the incident response plan development?
Well, that, we do have the detail on that. Go, scroll back up.
Is this from what they gave us that
Mhm.
day?
No, it's like, it's, there we go.
I think it's a good idea, just, yeah, it seems like.
So that's where that number came from, that $15,000 number came from, the recommended projects that. Our IT. Service provider was recommending.
Okay. Okay,
Okay.
I think those were my,
But I also think we're gonna need new technology. For example, tonight, our, our building official, we just was here, it was 5 o'clock and we were talking with him. And he said, is there any chance I can get an update on the phone? This is a man who never asks for anything. Why? Well, I have an iPhone 4, he said. And he showed us when he attempted to take a picture of, a site that he's on, it just shakes.
yeah, yeah.
It's not that the phone is broken, it's just, I mean, an iPhone 4 was, long ago. And so it requires probably buying another phone, probably licensing that, but whatever it is you do to a phone, and how you include it as part of our network. So unfortunately, technology
Yeah,
is here to stay and it's probably gonna cost us some money.
and I think that was part of the discussion that we had also was the same with laptops.
Laptops, yeah.
Actually building that in to have
Them
a
changed.
planned upgrade, kind of if you've had it for 3 or 4 years.
I think they're doing that now. I think
They are.
they do have that plan.
There is a plan for that now. And while it may be more expensive, I would tend to think that it's more logical for us to move to docking stations and laptops for almost everyone in town hall, as opposed to desktop computers.
Well, let's say we're out, we can add them.
Yeah.
As
I
we
mean,
have
cause
to
I
change.
don't know which is more expensive, because that's not my realm.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I don't look into the individual costs, where are we? But it does. I mean, I'm portable.
There's lots of reasons it's better, yes.
Yes, there's a lot of reasons why it's better.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would love to be able to shrink it and pull it back, but I don't think we can, unfortunately.
What is still unfinal in this budget? Is this what's highlighted?
Can you go to, the regional school district so that everyone can see where the numbers are on that? Regional high school. Oops. You're gonna have to scroll over to the tiny print and make it bigger.
Little tiny.
Because that's the number that Sally's looking for. The actual number for Bethany,
The
Well,
3.3,
it's at 3.3 now, but the actual number is the 9,243,000. But it's in the budget for less because of the notes I made next to it. Because of the credit of 147,000.
If we have that student expense, would that be added?
Hmm?
The student you were talking about, would
That's
that?
in the main budget, that's in there,
Oh,
yeah, that doesn't have
That's in
anything
the
to do with
overall
that,
budget.
no.
so we went from a 368 to a 333.
Yes.
Like a 30,000 drop from the budget. Okay,
That's my human resources person, I'm kidding. Yeah. Oh, man, let's talk about Bethany right now.
Why does it say 3.33?
Cause that is the increase from last year to, the budget increase from last year to, from this current year to next year,
Number wise,
number wise.
not student wise. The total budget only went, the total Amity budget went up 1.23. But our budget portion from last year to this year went up 3.3.
Okay.
Because we have more students, right? Yeah.
Sally, that number may be a little different from what they told you. It's a correction that I need to make on the budget presentation for next year. Cause, for this fiscal year, we reported it at net in our budget. I have to report it at gross, at that actual number of the 9.4. With a contra account for the reduction. So that we're showing it as both as the full budget amount at the 9.4 million. But a revenue source of 147. But for purposes of figuring out where our overall increase is in the budget, I have the net number in at the moment.
What did we figure Bethany Community School in at?
Right now,
The number they gave us, 7.49.
7.49.
I'm guessing that's what the Board of Ed's gonna
Right.
pass.
Well, that's
Come back to
that's
us
what
and then
Kay
go back.
is going to present tomorrow night.
Right.
Then I don't feel it. That's the budget.
No,
I-
that's too high. It's just too high.
No way the budget will pass. Yeah, no way.
Is that our one
It's a
pain
big
point?
amount.
I don't know the right word is that the area that, like, does everything else seem okay?
There are little glitches and stuff that, but
I think we should talk about capital a little bit too.
Yeah.
the capital's high.
Let's tell you something interesting. I went to a meeting yesterday with mayors and first selectmen in the whole third congressional district. Towns, Republican led towns, Democratic led towns, and everybody was talking about what was your budget request. There are many towns that budgets request were minus 5%. So a lot of people were at 0, but
Yeah.
and they're saying, I don't really care, we're accepting nothing short of less. And people are coming in with it, having to drop different things, so.
And I think that when you look at a 7% increase, when you're going to bond next year,
She said they weren't gonna bond next year.
said they were looking into it.
I'm talking about BCS. Yeah. When I
Didn't you
spoke,
say she was? They were looking into bond, the projects and stuff.
They are looking at
they're
bonding,
doing exploratory
But-
next year.
but-
Right.
she does not, but what she told us when we met with the health insurance. Was she thinks they're still 2 years out for
Okay,
that.
but once you get that 7.2, whatever, you can't go down.
That's right.
Yep.
You can't go down. So the next year it's gonna be more than that, and more than that, and more than that.
Yep.
And if there's a surplus, it doesn't matter, cause they'll take their share for whatever little things they want and bump the budget again. It's what Amity does every single year. It's why Orange wouldn't pass 1.53.
So
Because they're tired of having a surplus and them saying, and then you say something like, well, how about you only take 750,000? Reduce our budget and count on the 250,000 from the surplus to cut, well, what if it doesn't happen? Then you'll have to come back to the town. Because it's not fair that we keep increasing their budget and they keep getting a surplus. It's not fiscally responsible, and it's certainly not fair to the taxpayers. And Bethany's starting to do the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, they have their little slush fund and I'm sorry, I don't think they're as fiscally, I think that
Tight.
they, yeah, because they want that surplus, they want that money so that they can put it toward whatever it is they wanna put it toward.
Mhm. I have a question for you. And the new person that I have coming in, I know some of what her skills are because she shared them with us, Katie, in her interviews and talked to her and talked to other people she's worked with. But if we find that she has the ability to do grants, or I don't know that she's ever done them, so I'm not implying that this could happen, but.
Or you could do it
If
as a
it-
training opportunity and you
Right.
can move that responsibility.
So if we find that that can happen, and therefore I can take this money out of the budget, when is the latest that that money can be taken out so that we can present it to the town without it?
Town meeting, when they approve the budget,
The town meeting.
because they can,
Still drop this at any
you
time.
can drop
They can always keep-
anything at the town meeting.
Mhm.
You can up or down at the hearing, but at the town meeting, you can only reduce.
Mhm.
Or keep the same.
I mean, I don't want to cost the town anything if we don't have to, but I just don't know what the skills are, what she's going
Right,
to do at
and
this
so
point.
once the budget is approved, the money's there. It doesn't mean you have to
You don't
spend
have to
it.
spend it.
Right,
We
It
have,
just means
yeah.
that
but I also
It-
don't want to overtax people either if we don't have to.
It'll just carry a surplus for next time.
but
But yeah,
everybody else does.
Okay.
can we talk a little bit about the capital expenses? Is everyone mind going to this, looking? It's very
more-
nerdy. It's like the last, second to last page.
It's towards the back.
Does this, so Leslie, in our copy, the land use file archival and the land use software, are those being removed?
Well, they are removed in the master budget, yes. So because this spreadsheet shows that we need $1.3 million for capital for next year. But the budget sheet
Okay. As,
shows 975. Because certain items have been taken out. What would have been like highlighted, so the 90,000 in IT is out. On the other page.
okay.
Where are you looking? Oh.
It's also, we have it in paper
Yeah.
too, but I do see the.
So,
capital.
and then, so that might
So
be
let's go
that,
through what's in.
okay, what is in,
Road paving is in right
road
now.
paving is in. The backhoe is in,
At 450,000.
at 450.
Right, we'll get there in a second, Rachel.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
Okay,
Backhoe is in.
the backhoe is in. The lodge parking, the paving in that
We got a
is
grant for
is
that.
quasi
Yeah,
in.
it's in, but we.
It's in the plan, but it is not in the funding.
We do not have a grant for that.
But if we don't, we won't do it, from my understanding. We do have a grant for that.
I thought it was gonna be steep.
We don't even have the steep application yet. We don't even know what they're looking
Okay,
for.
so you're right.
This is
we'll
what-
You say it.
This is
Do it.
only do it with grant funding, but if we don't have it on the capital
This here.
plan,
Which we can't
it's
do.
harder,
VP.
it's harder to get a grant if it's not on the plan. Just like you cannot use LoCIP money for anything
Right,
if it's not on your
That's why
capital
you
plan.
took it out under the summary.
Yeah.
Correct, that's why I took it out under the summer.
So I'm not even, so let's, for the purpose of this conversation, the trailer shared with DPW, yes. That one's in, right?
Well, no, it's
No.
not in the, it's not. Didn't have, it's not in yet. Let's put it that way, it's not in yet.
Okay, I found it in that. Nine.
The tanker refurb is in. At 350, the
Yeah.
tanker refurb is in. The others, the 750, that disregard that right now because that would be coming from another source of funding. And I also took out on this, I took out the 100,000 for the equipment, for the sinking funds. I took out the 100,000 for the equipment I took out the 25,000 for infrastructure and I reduced land acquisition to 25. That's how I came to the 975.
So the big drivers are the road paving,
Mhm.
the backhoe and the tanker refurb.
Correct.
I think you have to assume the public's gonna want us to put back or want you guys to put back the land acquisition.
We have it at 25. I think, I don't think we should.
It'll
put it back.
depend on
Well, let's see what they say.
how they're
right?
feeling about the overall budget.
Right,
Yeah.
If they don't like the budget increase, then they're not gonna ask us to put that land money back.
good point.
It depends, and then it depends also on who shows
Who's
up.
at the budget.
Because if you get a lot of the Bethany Community School people, then they're going to try and push the budget through no matter what the percentage is, because it's BCS. Whereas you're going to get seniors and other people who might say, oh, hell no. Too much. And I think it's really gotta be emphasized that, once you go up, you can't come back down.
So 25,
And they're going to have an increase next year because it's going to be the teacher contracts.
Right, yeah.
And then you're gonna have the bus increase when they have to go all electric. I mean, it's ugly, and then you're gonna be bonding on top of that. So it's going to get ugly in the next couple of years.
So
And
how
Amity is
does
bonding too.
how does this translate to the mill rate?
that's a good point, actually. So generally 500,000 has been about half a mil,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
So 1 million is a mil approximately.
Okay,
So if we're talking about going up, 1.3, that's 1.3 mil increase.
so if we're at 30, would it be
Generally.
39.14 right now? 29.14,
29.
sorry.
Oh, God.
I know.
39.
It's an,
Yeah.
So you're saying that goes up to 30?
I say it would be 31.
Which we
Would
don't
you?
wanna do.
I would agree. I would agree.
Okay.
I would agree. Right now, I would say that this budget has us probably somewhere in that neighborhood without finding without cutting expenses or finding a lot of additional revenue beyond taxes. When
Okay,
I say a
so-
lot, I'm talking like $1 million.
And what does the mill rate have to be to get the money from the car thing supplemental?
It has to,
What are you?
It-
34?
I think it's
Yeah.
32.
32.46.
She would know.
I'm sorry,
That's
what
an
was this?
If your
That's
mill
an
rate is
assessor number.
32.46, you get,
Or higher,
or higher,
yeah.
you get,
You can tax people for
You
their
can-
vehicles.
You
Right?
can only tax vehicles up to the 32.46, thank you. But if your mill rate is higher than the 32.46, the state subsidizes you the next fiscal year for the lost revenue.
Yeah, no matter what, we don't wanna get to 30.
yeah, no, we don't. I just thought,
And we really
just
wanna get
wanted to
below,
know
we
if it
need
was
to
gonna
get
be
below
like
30.
31
We need to stay
1,
29.
then maybe we wanted our taxes to be
We do.
31.11. I'm just saying,
We do.
Okay, so
so it
So
was
if
just
we're-
a question.
So if we look at the total budget, the main drivers are capital, which went up, 57%, so 300, so the total budget went up 1.3 million, of which 355 is capital increases year over year.
Mhm.
And then, also Bethany BOE, that went up 600,000.
Mhm.
And Amity's going up 300,000. So those are the two primary drivers. General government did go up 260,000 too, so it's not, it's the lowest contributing area, but of that, benefits are the biggest growth.
Okay, but yes, Katie, I just want to point something out. General government is going up 261,000. However, the total municipal operating budget is only going up 176,000. Because the public safety, the public health, the community activities, and public works are all negative.
Mhm. How are you classifying that? Would you say the operating budget? What do
The
you-
total operating budget is right above the capital on this page here. It's the total operating for the town.
Okay.
The total
Yeah.
town budget is going up 2.14%, which is $176,000.
So total operating, the town account's going up 176.
Mhm.
And you will see that benefits are going up 141. So of that 177, benefits are 140,000. So it's it's a primary driver there. And then 355 in capital, as I mentioned. Then obviously Bethany Board of Ed and Amity.
Yeah.
So the things that are under our immediate control is not Amity. So I don't think we should focus our time and energy on that conversation right now.
Okay.
The things that are within our control are capital. We can put pressure on Bethany Board of Ed to reduce their budget. And I think that's what we should focus our energies on. Is there anything in capital that we think we can reduce? Can we sacrifice road paving $50,000? I mean, like, that's something we want to consider.
I would like a list of what roads they're supposed to do with that 600,000, so
It's 450, we have it.
400. Well, just so we
get it.
you know, just so we know.
It goesn't, there's like an order, and these are ones that are like next in line. Yeah, there's an order, but we can get it if you want to see it.
So how much are we trying to cut here? Cause I feel like what we said is it needs to be 1 million. I don't think.
I would be happy to get 500 out of this total budget.
But we haven't talked about whether we can use some of the, and I'm not using the wrong words, but the surplus in the capital budget.
We haven't talked about the surplus this year in the capital budget. You're right. And we do have another idea that we want to talk about with you guys. You want to jump in on that, Leslie?
Yeah,
Okay.
there are some items that are not part of this capital budget. That
These are not in the budget?
These are not in the budget, but they are items that need to be done if we want to approve them. And we do have some money in capital reserve, yes, and we did have a $400,000 surplus last year.
Mhm.
So we have some space, we have some areas where we can make adjustments. There should be a page that everyone has with upcoming small projects.
Yeah.
Most of these were brought to light during the budget presentations by various departments. The firehouse has told us that they need
Right.
The garage door.
all the garage doors
Right, we know about
replaced.
that, yeah,
So
and the water heater.
the water heater.
So if we decide to do that this year,
Mhm.
can we reduce any money from their budget?
No.
No,
No.
because they were requesting them for next year.
Yeah.
And so we're just saying, instead of putting it in future years' budgets.
Right, do
let's
it.
Play with it.
Do we wanna look at paying for it now out of contingency funds, which currently has $119,000 in it? Having said that, we need to maintain at least, I would say $60,000 is available for projects right now. Cause we wanna keep about 50.
For legal.
Well, because we're going to need additional money for legal, and we just got hit with a fire hydrant that needs to be
I
replaced.
found out yesterday we need to replace fire hydrant that's $9,000. Okay.
Where do we have fire?
We have two.
We have
That's
two.
Downs Road.
the one that needs to be replaced.
I feel like all the stuff with the firehouse is pretty important. I don't know how everybody else feels. I
He
mean,
said he made the case on the doors that, you know, they really had to be replaced, so.
Yeah, the doors make sense. If your water heater goes, you really have to do that. But and the third one,
I think at
furnace,
some point we really figured out who's for what.
I mean,
Yeah,
you
but
need
still,
furnace, you
we're-
need a
we're
water
working
heater,
through all
you need
that.
garage doors, I just don't.
but furnace for the meeting room and kitchen, there's a separate furnace for, I can't remember.
I guess there is, I don't know, that one,
I thought it was the boiler in the meeting room, but I mean, Don put this together, didn't Don put this
yeah,
together?
Don put this
Yeah,
together.
so the total list, just so we, for, you know, expediency is $75,000.
Okay.
Is there any project that,
And how much did you say we have total in that fund?
when they, in the,
119,
and I need figure 9 for the hydrant, like immediately.
so that leaves 110. And I'm saying we hold 50 for
My house goes up.
legal or anything
Hasn't
else
been
that may
working for
happen
a long
between
time.
now and the end of the
Found out.
year.
That leaves you 60.
That we
Just
have
another-
approximately 60. Now,
Just another
the
hydrant.
east remediation system that Don wants to do, that he can pay for out of Vets Park operating budget,
Okay, let's do it.
okay? But he was waiting for definite, because of the dollar amount, he was waiting for definite endorsement and approval in a public meeting of the Board of Finance to say, yes, please do
Yes,
this,
no, I will say the electric gate is something we're asking for
in a grant.
in a grant. We may not get this grant, but we are asking for it.
All right, so.
We haven't even submitted it yet. We may not get
So,
it.
so we'll put that aside for grant
But I think
with
that
a question mark.
I mean, it's a high, nice to have, you know, instead of must have, there's, like fire hydrant is a must have, like you
Yeah,
can't,
exactly.
you can't not, if we're prioritizing.
Yeah. And we have to.
Right. If you can't get the fire trucks out of the fire station because the stupid door won't open, that's a problem.
And the office for the state police and stuff, isn't that part of insurance?
Oh, no, that has nothing to do with the hole in the wall.
Hmm.
This was the
Oh, this
situation
was
where.
when you were gonna move, yeah, gotcha, okay, I remember now, it's all coming
And
back.
the best part is, so we had it all done, the
So
lieutenant
that
came
truck
down.
didn't knock any walls down that we needed down?
No, not the one we needed. Could have just come in the other side, it would have been helpful.
So is the firehouse about 50,000 though? Is that what we're saying?
No, it's
Wait,
40,000.
40,000?
40.
No, firehouse.
Oh,
Yeah,
Firehouse,
Yeah.
right, so.
Yeah,
so
it's 40,
40,
40,000. Like 40.
And then center station is then, there's your 50. So if we did everything but the Vets Park.
And we
There's
really
your
need the geese
50,000.
remediation though.
Well, the remediation, that $3,800 can come
Right.
out of this year's operating budget. There is enough room in the Vets Park operating budget to pay for that.
Okay. And the aerator,
Not the aerator, no.
we can't do I don't think you could do one without the other.
Yeah, it wouldn't.
The only thing I'm going to say is that we have survived without these things, like. There isn't going to be a fire that the geese need to be gone for, like, if we're prioritizing things of importance and for town safety, about town
I'm
safety.
totally with you. Here's the issue with the geese is that apparently, and I talked to Park and Rec about this today, because their question was, should they have lifeguards? Should they not? Should they keep it open? Should they not? And they also indicated to me that, Vets Park Pond was closed intermittently. I don't know how often, but last summer noticeably, I guess I'll put it that way.
So are the beaches
Well,
I
yeah,
mean,
you
like,
can't go there.
in Milford and
Oh, I see.
like everywhere, like when the town pond is closed, every place is closed because it's high bacteria.
Well, more often. Well, this is
Maybe
because
a
of,
touch, but
this is
it's.
because of the geese.
Yeah.
Not only there in the water, but in the field, so the kids can't use the field, which is right next to the playground and stuff like that. And with this, the thought is they can do what they can, DPW can do what they can with the field, and they'll be able to mow it and without getting geese poop all over them, and the kids will be able to use it, and people will be able to swim. And the feeling also is that if it's worth a shot, if this works, then the place will be open all season. And it'll be a bona fide place, a recreation place that we can start to promote again in a very positive way.
And do we make money from out of town people using?
They don't care if the geese come or not. I'm just gonna tell you.
No, I don't think,
The
we
people
don't
come-
actually collect revenue from out of town people.
Yes, we do.
We
Parking
do.
permits.
I don't know how much is a parking permit. I sincerely have no idea how much.
But no one, but it's very much.
150 per year.
That's it for the whole year that we've gotten?
Oh, no, that's.
That's per permit.
How many people have
I think
purchased that?
we have, I mean, we have at least a handful.
How many?
It's not heavily enforced though. That's the
Maybe
thing.
20 that I know
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
Okay, couple thousand.
Is there research on this aerator for the bacteria things?
So from what, I did not do it, Don did it.
Because
They guarantee this,
who does?
the company guarantees that it will work.
Guarantees what will work, that there will be no more geese,
No more
that
geese.
there will be no more bacteria and the pond can stay open, like.
No, they can't guarantee that
Right.
because the bacteria could come from another source.
That's
The
right.
Beavers start
Because
to
it may
speak.
not-
Rains more than 1 inch in 24 hours, you're supposed to shut down a closed area like this because of the bacteria bloom.
I don't think it has anything to do with that. They're just a geese control place.
Okay, cause we had an aerator at our lake and we shut it down because the algae bloomed like you wouldn't believe. And that was worse.
We just might need a little more
Yeah,
investigation.
I would like more information on this because otherwise, why
Okay.
wouldn't we do it every day?
Pretty sure.
So he sent us the whole thing.
He sent us a whole packet.
I guess I'm
Yeah.
still not, I'm just not buying it. Like,
Um,
I think
They,
it's
they,
fine,
they are
but
two it's my understanding that they are two independent.
They are,
yeah.
Two independent items. So I think the removal, the remediation is a must.
Right.
The aerator, I think, is a nice
A
to
want.
have, a nice to have.
So we're gonna. do
With the
geese thing.
remediation is a need.
We'll do the goose thing, geese thing pretty quickly, right?
Yes,
I'm told by the end of this month.
So if that really works, then we can see separately if we need to do the aerator.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
So how about if we do that? And then if in July, it's like, oh my God, then, and we have to do it, then.
well, and that we have significant evidence that that's actually the
Right.
problem and
Yeah.
that's actually gonna fix it, because I'm just not sure that that's,
but the
I don't
geese
know,
thing, it
but
is-
I'm just.
And I
It is
have
very
no idea if this is
confusing.
gonna work. All Don keeps telling me is that they guarantee it will work. And it's guaranteed. I don't know what happens if it doesn't. I'm sure he told me, but I don't know what happens if they give us our money back or they just remove the thing. I really don't know. We could call him and ask him to go online and tell, go on and tell us, but I really don't know.
All right, so it sounds like, I'm just gonna sum up. We're talking about generally leaning favorably towards the three items for the firehouse for approximately $40,000. We're generally feeling favorable about the center station rebuilds there for approximately 10,000, exactly 10,000, exactly precisely. Then the geese remediation system, we recommend proceeding with that, but using the operating budget. And we're going to hold on the aerator for the pond bacteria control. I personally would love to see any solutions we can do there, but I'm okay with the phased approach. And then the electric gate, we are gonna hold pending trying to get a grant for it. And so those items that we had discussed, approximately 50,000, would be coming out of contingency for this year's budget. Plus the hydrant.
Right,
Hydrant,
which is 9.
adding a hydrant, which
You said 9?
hit somewhere between 8 and 9 is what, and they sent me the bill, but where would that money be transferring to then? Where's all this money getting transferred to? If we're talking transfers, doesn't?
Okay, the items for the firehouse would be moved to the firehouse, building maintenance.
Center station will get moved to center station and
Yeah, I
Something,
believe there's,
something.
I believe there's a. Yes. Just double check that there is a building for center station.
is everyone like feeling in line with this? Okay.
Yeah, there is a maintenance. Yes, there's a maintenance and repair of the building.
And I don't think we have any money left in that, Don told me.
Very little.
Okay. And then the hydrant,
That goes to, there is a line in the fire department for hydrants.
they said they've never had to deal with this before.
There is a fire hydrant. Usually it is just for water in that line. Right now there is $5,000 in that line.
Should we just transfer forward? Just saying.
Well, no, wait a minute, let's.
And I'm still talking to them because for some reason on their invoice, that they insist that the Woodbridge police have to be there and they put down for how many hours and how much we have to pay. I'm not sure why, unless if they think it's Woodbridge, and it is, then Woodbridge can pay for this, but I don't know why they put that, but I haven't gotten through yet to them to find out everything on their invoice.
Okay, I would,
Yeah, they probably just picked the closest fire.
I think so.
In the police department.
I would strongly recommend that we not transfer money to the fire department right now to cover that.
Why?
Because there is still $40,000 available in their budget for this year. And it is possible that there will be enough to cover that.
Great.
The hydrant.
Yes, to cover the hydrant, because, the firemen's physicals are a guess every year as to how much we need to do the physicals, the mandatory physicals for the firemen. And we have spent less than 25%, about 25% of that line.
Okay.
Granted, there's still time left to this year, but I would hold off on transferring money for the fire hydrant.
And just let them pay for it now and then.
And we will transfer something else,
Yeah.
but we would need to transfer the money for the building repairs to the building.
Okay,
All right.
so they have 40,000. Why can't they use that toward the building?
Well, yeah, but the problem is then there will not be any money for the gas and diesel for the second half of the year.
Who's counting that?
Nor the propane to heat the building.
All right, got it. Thank you.
Well, if we keep having days like today, they won't need it.
Would anyone like to would anyone please be willing to make a motion for those transfers?
I'll do it, but I'm not sure what we're transferring from where. Is it contingency?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, so I move we transfer 40,000 from contingency to the firehouse building maintenance
Yes.
and 10,000 from contingency to the center station building repair.
I think it's a slightly, I don't think it's even, is it?
It says 10.
No, this.
I said up to 5. Okay,
Up to
so
40.
But I think it's
Wait.
slightly over.
no, it's 20.
Well,
33.
I think we'll be okay with up to 40.
A little bit more than whatever.
whatever,
Do we have to add it up now?
I'm doing it.
This is 20,000, so it's
it's
39,800.
Yeah, 950.
So up to 40,000,
Okay.
cause you, just in case.
Okay, would anyone please second that motion?
I would second.
Thank you. May I have a vote? All in favor? Aye.
No, it doesn't impact the budget.
Okay. Any opposed? Thank you very much. The vote passes. So let's go back and talk a little bit more about the budget discussion, because unfortunately that had no impact to our next year's budget. We do have a surplus. What is the estimated surplus?
Right now, this year,
Yes.
based off of the budget work that we have done for next year. It was approximately That's missing the zero. Let's start doing the subtraction. About 350,000.
Is what we have.
Right now, that is the anticipated, if that's the right column. Yes, the anticipated surplus is 350,000.
And prior year, we did have a surplus as well. Has that already been accounted for?
Last year's 400. No, it's, I mean, it's in the general fund now.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's in the.
I can hire 2 HR people. This is just gonna be my mantra. I'm really just teasing you guys.
So we could pull from the general fund, right? And
To
have
help offset the
Offset the
budget so that
budget.
we can keep the mill rate where the mill rate needs to be.
Mhm.
So 350 would be the number,
Yeah,
or, I mean, we could do more, but do we want to do more?
the year before surplus was 400 and that went into the general fund. And this year we're looking at 350. So it looks like,
That, I mean, I would say that would be the maximum I would recommend, you know, like.
Would be what,
The 350 or 400, no more than that.
Let's round it to 4.
4 helps for sure.
Because we're at 27%.
Alright, so on the.
And this would be up, yeah,
Okay.
and we don't need to add.
Okay.
We don't need that.
So,
But
27%.
the general fund percentage rate is calculated based on your year's budget. So every time the budget grows up, the denominator gets lower. And so the percentage is just calculated a little bit lower, but nonetheless, 27 is very high.
Mhm.
So I think using a 400 surplus is reasonable.
Okay.
Is everyone?
Can I just ask this? Would you want therefore to raise the number to put in the capital reserve? So that, is that the right word? Capital reserve, so that we begin to save for a future tractor or a future computer or a future whatever in lieu of doing some of this? Is that worth it or not?
Not at the expense of a budget
Mill rate
increase.
Yeah.
increase.
Okay.
If we were in a pleasant situation,
No, it goes over in the.
we could certainly do that.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah,
Right, like
And
if
what
we
you don't
weren't,
want is you don't want them
over.
saying, oh my God,
yeah.
Okay,
budget's going up, whatever.
No.
okay.
And
No,
the
thank
budget
you.
reserve can grow organically when we allocate funds for a capital project. Let's say we set aside and tack $1 million for a renovation that only comes in at 850.
Okay.
That means that 150 would stay in the capital reserve.
Ah, okay. Alright,
So it can grow somewhat organically if we don't spend, we
down on the bottom,
but that's those.
okay, thank you for explaining that. So this 350 doesn't come out of the capital reserve at all. This is the operating.
It's out of the general. fund.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
okay,
So
Okay,
what does that
so-
make it?
Okay, well, I'm still looking at adjustments to the capital budget.
What?
Because the backhoe with a trade-in may be less than 175.
Yeah, we'll have a trade, I'll have that as a trade-in. That's right.
The last number that I had from Don is it may be as little as 165. So we wanted to take 10,000 off of that.
Yes,
Okay,
if that's what we think it is, then,
all right, so
but what if it's more?
We're only gonna get
Then they have to
10,000 on a trade-in?
well, no,
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Otherwise it'll
I
go.
wish I
mean,
found,
yeah,
I
it'll
wish
go
I
in the
felt like
capital
I had
reserve.
confidence that
I mean, what's the level
they had
of,
already looked and researched and knew what
Well,
it
there's
was, but
supposed to be
it
where they come to us with numbers.
well, the original number was 185. And he said would get a trade-in,
oh,
That's right.
and
I would keep it at 170.
okay.
okay, she wants to keep it where it is.
That's what I mean, I don't want to.
We hear you.
And
and I guess I just don't know the market for backhoes and
Really?
Well,
I can only
rely on.
Well,
even scrap metal, I mean, that is a
I mean,
huge chunk of scrap metal.
I mean, I can
It's
do
worth
a
something. for
I could do a
Yeah.
quick search.
Amazon.
I'm sure he's.
Actually.
I mean, so the big question comes in is, do we want to keep the money in the sinking funds or out?
What do you mean?
Because
Like the capital reserve fund?
we were going to start building
Yeah.
regular sinking funds for vehicles and building maintenance and all that. But I took them out to bring the number down to 975.
How much is in the capital reserve right now? I mean, that is basically a sinking fund
300.
when it's sitting in there.
Yeah, you talked about it today.
It's in here. Future capital projects, 669,000 at the end of the year.
That's not chump change.
No, it's a.
No, but it is declining because started the year at a million.
What did we buy?
Well,
I think we subsidized our capital plan. Oh,
yes, we did subsidize the capital plan and, we also transferred from the unassigned to assigned for half of the ambulance that is still on order. Because we went into that knowing that the town was that the capital reserve would fund 50% of that purchase.
wow.
So we only asked for 250,000 in budgets over 2 years, and with the balance of the 250 coming out of the reserve.
Are there, I mean, I challenged the grant committee to look for grant opportunities for some of these major plant equipment. Or even public works, so that. Okay. Try. Thanks.
So this says the price guide. I think it said like 100 to 150 for a backhoe.
I
So,
think he got.
so they have to get
Yeah.
a certain kind of backhoe because
Deer.
it wasn't a deer, it was, maybe it was.
Yeah, it is.
Because they have the plows and the
accessories.
attachments, everything of the bucket, I don't know, whatever goes on a tractor. They already have the stuff and it has to fit on the new one.
Okay.
What's that good description?
Yep.
All the
Makes sense.
stuff.
It does. Just, you
So
know,
we're paying cash for it.
We would be paying cash for it, yes.
Is there a reason we're not gonna finance it?
Only so it doesn't cost us money.
I have not looked into what that would be, but my guess is it's going to be a minimum of 6.5% to finance it. The last dump truck we purchased outright, and at that time, financing for that would have been 8.3.
But I just think that it's an option and something we should maybe look into.
I
When
agree,
we're trying to cut costs, that would cut.
because it would. spread
Because it would be, if you were at least, doing it for 3 years, you'd only have a third of that money in that capital for now. And then it would extend it out for 2 more years. But, you're asking for ways to lower that number, that's a way, perhaps. It could
Yeah.
be not worth it,
Yeah,
but I think until we look into it and find out, we don't have that answer.
Okay.
Well, sort of along the same lines, the tanker refurbish, is
There-
that gonna be done all in 1 year, or could that
Yes.
be?
No,
spread?
they bring it in, the guy does it.
It
It takes
literally
it apart.
takes the whole thing apart.
Yeah.
Does it?
And we may find it's gonna be a lot more than 350 when he takes it apart and finds out what's there. Or it may be not substantially, but less, because
And
not
they
everything
do
is
some of the
wrong.
work themselves, I thought he said. And then they take whatever they need to take to that guy they like and use all the time. That they trust.
Yeah, and that's this year they.
he was a
have
good
with
guy,
the
because I
next
use
year.
him too, so. I think a lot of us do in town.
They're gonna do another one next year.
wasn't the price to buy a new one like 800 or something? It was a lot of money, so they're doing what they
More than
can.
that, to buy a new tanker, Brent and I were talking about this last week. The town of Southbury just signed a contract to purchase 2 new tankers to the tune of $2.33 million.
So my sister's taxes are going up.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
All right, so let's evaluate the impact of the budget with 400,000 from the general fund, evaluating how the financing options for the backhoe. And I think we gotta wait for BCS.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
we
the
don't know
deciding
anything.
factor.
You want me to do the meeting tomorrow?
Sally, I agree with you. What, if we let them do this, then it's,
Mhm.
they're building on it.
I won't be able to go. My
I can go,
husband will be going.
you know, I can, oh, we have to
Board
do
of
it
Ed-
when
He's
we,
on the board of ed, yeah.
so we'd get the
Thank
number
you.
right away, but. You know, because I don't think you're allowed to talk at them
No,
unless it's one of their 2 a year that you can talk.
No, they have public comment at all the
Do they?
BCS board of, yes,
Do they have it at the beginning and the end?
they usually do. They
I-
have lately. I know it's at the beginning.
You know, because the beginning, I would rather do it at the end when I ask. What does boost cost if if it's not explained? And how many students are involved, and same with before and after school, because those were the 2 things she said she'd have to cut. And it would be catastrophic, so I wanna know if we're
I
talking.
don't know if they'll answer you at the question and answer period, do they? Always? Sometimes they do.
Well, I don't know, I mean, it's a
Usually they
pretty
just listen.
standard,
Okay.
I'm teaching,
Well, I mean,
ask them.
The Board of Finance certainly has the right to ask these questions after you get the budget, to go back to them and say, how much is this?
Right,
And they'll
and I'm
answer
teaching
them.
tomorrow, so I'll be there, so if I have to, I'll ask Mr. Reed's well.
Okay.
Or
Okay, what
some of the
time
other
is the
teachers
meeting?
that do boost, huh?
What time is it?
What?
Board of Ed meeting?
5:30, 6:30?
I don't know. I'm so sorry.
You could look on the website
I will.
or the hallway.
what?
Or the hallway, you said.
Yeah, the agenda's on the board in the hallway.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, so we've talked about the 2026-27 budget, and we also talked about the contingency. That was the vote that we took a little bit earlier. If everyone's okay, I'd like to move on the agenda. Yes, okay, number 8 was address control issues. There were a couple findings in the audit that which you guys have in the management letter. But I'm talking about the internal control related ones. There are some good things there that I think we should identify as control issues going forward. A lot of them are sort of managerial stuff outside of our purview, but the capital asset policy, I think, was a good one. That one would include the laptop replacements, but also, you know, all the buildings when they need to be replaced and stuff like that. It's something that I think would be a good idea for the towns. I don't know if anyone had any other thoughts about control issues that this board wants to address in the next year,
Not that I can think right now.
other than an HR manual.
I think if we get a payroll place, some of this stuff would be addressed.
Mhm, I agree, like the timesheet one,
Mhm.
I thought that one was fixed by us.
Wait, what is this about the use of purchase orders, that they're not always approved?
so our old system didn't allow for purchase orders in the conventional purchase order process. You hadn't. Invoices were purchase orders in the old system. Purchase orders weren't used to approve a purchase before. It was just a convoluted system. the old accounting software system. We are using purchase orders in the new system.
That's not what they're talking about. They're talking about prior approval of the POs.
They're saying don't have that or have?
No,
that
they're
we-
saying that,
Are not
it's
consistently
not
approved.
consistently approved before. What
prior
they're referring to is, there are,
Oh, can you create a PO with this invoice? I
correct,
totally understand. what you're talking
that's.
Someone's like,
And that is the standard, that is the norm in a lot of departments and a lot of municipalities.
yeah,
And we are working to correct that.
it's a
Okay,
behavior change. We went through
It is a
at my-
behavior
at my
change.
company.
We are asking that
10 years
purchase
ago.
orders be, and that requisitions be put in at the time of purchase, not at the time of invoice.
Is there an?
So that
approval?
you can actually get it approved before. There is the town does have a bid / purchase policy.
No, is there an approval for the requisition or only approval for the PO? Like, do you have to convert?
You have to
Into-
approve the rec, which
and
converts to a
into
PO.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
yeah.
That
Yes.
sounds good.
Yes. It's a whole new system, and there's
However,
been a
this
lot of,
is-
there's been a lot of growing
Invoice.
pain.
And then someone says, hey, I have this invoice, please make it a PO just to get it paid.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I understand.
yeah, so we're working on correcting that practice.
Okay.
Some departments is easier than others.
are we, it kind of then sounds like we're working on a lot of the things that.
Yes,
in
we
here.
are working on a lot of the things in here. Where I'm going to,
Are there any items we are not going to pursue or work on? Maybe.
oh no, we're gonna work on all of them.
Okay,
We always do.
okay.
And I don't think any of those took away from them saying we did a good job. These were just.
Yeah, well, they
They're
weren't
not-
even,
Yeah,
they didn't even meet the
Yeah.
threshold.
I know.
Yeah, efficient.
Correct.
Yeah.
And as long as we are working on improving these areas, correcting them, they will not be elevated to a finding.
Hmm.
That's the
That's the-
practice
The-
that
the
they use.
steps
That, those are
happen.
the steps, correct. But
Keeps us out of trouble.
Yeah, it's just progress, right? Towards improvement.
correct.
Some people believe
Take one of these back.
purchase orders should be for 5,000 and over, and other selectmen are like, the purchase order should be for any item. No matter, it costs $1, it's gotta have a purchase order. I haven't seen a lot of purchase orders, but we're working on it, you know. I think it's getting better
Yeah,
tremendously.
the one area that
Right?
I think we need to discuss, or maybe we have, one or two of you volunteer to help, is to review the purchase policy that we have right now. I would like to have it reviewed, because we should be reviewing it every 2 or 3 years and updating it. Because one of the reasons why they're recommending the capital asset threshold and that policy is because of inflation. Things cost more now than they did 10 years ago. And is $5,000 still the appropriate dollar value to deem something a fixed asset? So I think that whole process needs to be worked through. So the bid policy, I would like to see that reviewed. And then growing out of that, I would like to see a capital asset policy created.
Yeah, I think after budget season, we
Yes.
probably did.
I'm not advocating for it now, but I would like to see the purchase policy at least reviewed before they start the audit for 26, so that I can say, yes, it was reviewed, it was, the changes were adopted prior to starting the audit, so that we can start next fiscal year with the new thresholds and everything clean.
Yep.
Okay. That is something we will, I guess, then table for after the budget. Moving on, anything else want to add to other?
Nope.
Number 10, chairman's report. Anything new that you haven't sort of updated us on in this conversation?
Well, you're chairman, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh, my report. I'm looking at you.
It was like going.
When you were talking before, I took your notes next to chairman's report. I do
Okay,
those myself.
just below.
So, the only thing that I have for the chairman's report is that we need to schedule a special meeting to work on the budget and, particularly after the vote tomorrow. So at the Board of Ed. So if everyone wouldn't mind, I'm proposing next week. Oh, St. Patrick's Day is next week. Yep.
We can bring green beer.
Yeah, I don't think anybody here cared, but you were gonna have another kind of meeting that night, and the thought was were other people going to come?
What date are we talking?
I,
Are you wanting to do St. Patrick's Day or was that a no? Who feels strongly about it, St.
Okay.
Patrick's Day, huh?
Aaron,
I'll wear
Rob.
green, okay.
Yeah, I'll wear green.
I'm marching to represent Bethany in the New Haven St. Patrick's Day parade, should we?
Which isn't on St. Patrick's Day. So
On
you're clear.
Sunday, yeah. Wednesday also works, but there is a, how about?
I can do any day next
You
week.
can.
I can't do Thursday.
No Thursday. How about St. Patrick's Day? Does anybody celebrate that night?
Nope.
I do have a tentative commitment from John that he is available.
On Tuesday?
He would
He's not
be,
working?
he would be available on the 17th, the 23rd, or the 24th. He said Monday, Tuesdays work for him. Next Monday does not work for me. I'm out of town.
So why don't we just do the
17th.
17th?
The 23rd and 24th are very good for me as well, so I don't know. Let's just keep that on the back burner.
Yeah,
Might
if for
wanna
some
have a second
reason we
meeting.
just start run into a roadblock.
But like snow or
23rd, is
something.
there something in the,
No.
yeah,
Oh,
There is?
yes,
No.
all the Republican governor candidates are gonna
The
be.
spring
On the
sports meeting
23rd?
has
On the
been
23rd.
postponed, canceled 3 times. Because of snow.
Interesting.
It is supposed to be.
Yeah,
Yeah. Can I
Thursday
get
this
What time are we
confirmation on
doing?
What time? Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
What time?
I'm open to, wanna do 6:30?
Yeah,
6:30?
There's a room open.
6:30,
Right.
Okay.
not be here till 10.
I know,
It's 6:30?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which room do you guys wanna meet in, this room or the other room? They're
This
both
one.
open that night.
this one's better. The feng shui in that room is no good.
We need that for our budget.
It's awful in that room.
Okay,
Unless we can decorate and move the furniture, that room
so are
stinks.
you still planning for April 9th for the budget hearing?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Which means, let's do some.
We're running out of time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we have to finalize the budget at the end of the week of March 23, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe the week of March 30. I don't think it's gonna be printed in the bulletin. I love,
it's not.
I said, well, you can if you'd like it, but it'll
Oh, I
cost you.
thought you
It's
said
not a
you-
big- You could still do it. It was 20 pages last year, that the bulletin, and I thought it went out in April, and I was told it went out in the May bulletin.
Oh,
So we did.
Oh, for the fire
We
vote.
did send we sent a 4-page flyer. We sent a 4-page notice for the budget hearing last year, cause you will have to draft a letter for it, Katie.
Awesome. I mean,
and
we could
that's a
put it
mail
in the
to
bulletin,
households.
Mhm.
Okay.
but we
Yeah.
could put it in the bulletin if you want. It's just gotta be in a couple weeks.
Alright,
Yeah.
we would have to have it, to put it in the bulletin, we would have to have it today, probably no later than the 25th.
No, that's not true. I hinder things like the day before.
What
When it
if we
gets
wanted?
printed.
Well, it would just be an insert. I mean, it's a separate.
We could be a 4-page insert, but then it'll be 16 pages as opposed to 12.
Mhm.
As long as we keep it to 4 pages, that's one.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Well,
one.
it saves the money
sheet.
from mailing, right? Mailing's.
I would think that would be cheaper, although this gets mailed, the bulletin gets mailed.
But.
Right, but it would also be a
included in-
separate mailing, so it'll be,
Yeah, I would think so. I
you
don't
know,
know
you gotta send it to
exactly.
I
everyone.
don't know.
Okay,
It comes down to the Board of Ed, budget.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and when we can finalize.
And when
this,
they're
it's
gonna meet again,
determine
if
what
we,
we're gonna do.
because they're gonna meet
When-
tomorrow, it'll come back to here. If you guys say no, because it's 7 point something, and it goes back, it's whenever they're gonna meet again.
Yeah.
They may not, do they
But then
know
we
that,
can tell them that we need we need a number, you take our number.
right,
There you go. We need to have the budget by such and such a date. If you don't have a number we can live with, we'll give you the number.
I think they need to know that for tomorrow.
Well, and we
I'll-
may give
I'll
it
see
to
her
them
tomorrow.
anyway, yeah, right?
Huh?
We may give it to them anyway. We
Right,
may give them a number in the end anyway. We,
Right.
like, if
When-
they don't hit the number that is something.
we-
that is our number.
but if they come back, if they, you get it tomorrow and you meet again on the 17th. And then ask them to meet on the following week if they will, and then you meet again the week of the 30th, you really got.
Tell them they have to
place.
come the 17th because we need an answer and we have questions.
Okay,
That you have to be able to justify
absolutely,
your budget.
got it.
And,
And then cut it.
right. I mean,
Yeah,
They can justify all they want.
I think
because
they probably need to know that, yeah. Are they meeting late this year for the budget?
I don't know.
See, the thing, in the past, this is the first time that I've seen them present a budget this high.
Yes.
So, okay. We've had a lot of back and forth with Amity, but we haven't had this with Bethany, and so we've accepted her number. Sorry, not just her, but the number that was provided as the recommendation from the superintendent, with the understanding that it's probably gonna go down if it does move, and it was a reasonable number that we thought wasn't excessive, when it was like 4%, and that was like, ooh, but we're like, okay, like this.
Yeah.
This is different.
Yeah.
Different orders of magnitude.
So, since your husband's on the Board of Ed, do you have any sense how the Board of Ed is gonna feel about trying to approve this, knowing that it's what it would do to our taxes?
Yeah, they could discuss that anyway. I'm sure they haven't. So I'm guessing that the way it was presented to us by the superintendent, she said she was going to present the budget to them. So I don't think she's presenting a 4% budget or 3% as recommended by Katie.
She's going to present, my understanding, 7.5%
Right.
budget increase, and it's up to the board to get the feeling from the town and make a recommendation to reduce or to approve, and then we'll find
So
out.
there's a good possibility we won't have an answer tomorrow. Because the board might either table it or ask for a reduction, and she's not gonna be able to do that on the fly per se. You don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know whether they have a statutory date that they have to have a budget by. Amity does,
Yeah, I don't
but
know.
I don't know,
I actually don't know. I don't know.
so I
think
mean.
there is one.
So. And I would just, so I mean, I think it's just gonna be a matter of. How she presents it and if. Has she presented anything to them?
They must have some idea. She's not gonna present to the Board of
I think
Finance
so.
without.
I think so.
So I don't know whether they, talked it over with people in town or. But again, their audience is people with kids in the school. And you start saying, oh, we're gonna eliminate Boost. If we don't pass this budget, Boost is gone. We don't pass this budget, there goes, before school music and after school music. And if, for those people who use that, they don't need to pay for Park and Rec. Because they've got somebody in the morning to watch their kids. They've got somebody in the afternoon to watch their kids. And so again, it's just gonna be. Optics and whatever.
Okay, so do we need to make a motion for the next meeting?
No,
No, okay, so just, you guys took in the minutes that it is March 17th at 6:30. Next on the agenda, item 11, first selectmen's report, with the tentatively acting chairman, no, I don't. Yes, you're right. Acting chairman. You have no further updates?
No, that's basically it.
Okay, so as I mentioned, next meeting is 3/17 at 6:30, and then our next regular meeting is on the 21st.
So I will make a motion.
Thank you, Sally. Sally makes a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.